Good morning. I'm Stephen Leake. I'm an elder at First Presbyterian Church in Mesquite, Texas, and I'm also the teacher of the Discipleship Sunday School class there. Today we're continuing with our study of the Gospel of John. And I'd like to remind you that our curriculum is based upon the Daily Bible Study Series by Professor William Barclay, and also that we're using the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. We're in chapter 11, which is the chapter which Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. And Jesus initially got the word when he was in Jerusalem that Lazarus was ill. But instead of going right to Bethany to be with the family, he went north of Jerusalem to the River Jordan, to the place where John the Baptist had baptized him. And he stayed there a few days. Then he journeys back to Bethany to be with the family. And that's where we encounter him today. Our scripture reading today is John 11:20 through 27. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, while Mary stayed at home. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha said to him, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world." In this story, too, Martha is true to character. When Luke tells us about Martha and Mary, he shows us Martha as the one who loved action, and Mary as the one whose instinct was to sit still. That's from Luke 10, verses 38 through 42. As soon as it was announced that Jesus was coming near, Martha was up to meet him, for she could not sit still, and Mary lingered behind. When Martha met Jesus, her heart spoke through her lips. Here's one of the most human speeches in all the Bible. For Martha spoke half with a reproach that she could not keep back, and half with a faith that nothing could shake. She said, "If you had been here, my brother would not have died." Through her words, we read her mind. Martha would have liked to have said, "When you got our message, why didn't you come at once? And now you've come too late." No sooner are her words out than words of faith follow. Faith which defied the facts and defied experience. "Even yet," she said with a kind of desperate hope, "even yet I know that God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus said, "Your brother will rise again." Martha answered, "I know quite well that he will rise in the general resurrection on the last day." Now that is a notable saying. One of the strangest things in Scripture is the fact that the saints of the Old Testament had practically no belief in any real life after death. In the early days, the Hebrews believed that the soul of every person, good and bad alike, went to Sheol. Sheol is wrongly translated as hell, for it was not a place of torture, it was the land of the shades. All alike went there, and they lived a vague, shadowy, strengthless, joyless, ghostly kind of life. This is the belief of the greater part of the Old Testament. For in death there is no remembrance of you. In Sheol, who can give you praise? That from Psalm 6, verse 5. What profit is there in my death if I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it tell of your faithfulness? And that from Psalm 30, verse 9. After death came the kind of silence and forgetfulness, where human souls were separated both from each other and from God. It's notable, however, that for centuries men lived good lives, doing their duties and bearing their sorrows, without any hope of future reward. Occasionally, someone in the Old Testament made an adventuresome leap of faith. The psalmist cries, "My body also rests secure, for you do not give me up to Sheol, or let your faithful one see the pit. You show me the path of life." That from Psalm 16, verses 9 through 11. The psalmist was convinced that when someone entered into a real relationship with God, not even death could break it. But at that stage, it was a desperate leap of faith rather than a settled conviction. Finally, in the Old Testament, there's the immortal hope we find in Job. In the face of all his disasters, Job cried out, "For I know that my Redeemer lives, and that at the last he will stand upon the earth." That from Job 19 through 25. I almost reverted to my old King James Version and said liveth. Did you notice that? Here in Job, we see the real seeds of the Jewish belief in immortality. The Jewish history was a history of disasters, of captivity, slavery, and defeat. Yet the Jewish people had the utterly unshakable conviction that they were God's own people. When Martha declared her belief in the Orthodox Jewish belief in the life to come, Jesus suddenly said something which brought to that belief a new vividness and a new meaning. He said, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even if he has died, and everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die." What exactly did he mean by that? Not even a lifetime's thinking will reveal the full meaning of this. One thing is clear. Jesus was not thinking in terms of physical life, for speaking physically, it's not true that those who believe in him will never die. Christians experience death just like all other people. We must look for more than a physical meaning. First, Jesus was thinking about the death of sin. He was saying even if people are dead in sin, even if through their sins they've lost all that makes life worth living, I can make them alive again. And that is abundantly true. People can become so selfish that they're dead to the needs and feelings of others. And people can become so hopeless that they are filled with inertia, which is spiritual death. The witness of history is that Jesus has resurrected countless people like them. Second, Jesus was thinking about life to come. He brought into life the certainty that death is not the end. This world is called the land of the living, but it might be more appropriate to call it the land of the dying. Through Jesus Christ, we know that we are not journeying into the sunset, but into the sunrise, and that death is just a gate at the sunrise. In the most real sense, we're not on our way to death, but on our way to life. This happens when we believe in Jesus Christ. And it means that we trust that everything Jesus said is true. When we do that, we enter into two new relationships. First, we enter into a new relationship with God. We become absolutely sure of His love and that He is a redeeming God. The fear of death vanishes, for death means going to the great lover of human souls. Second, we enter into a new relationship with life, and Jesus is there to help us live life as He commanded. When we accept Jesus' way, life becomes new. It is clad with a new beauty, a new charm, and a new strength. In truth, we are resurrected, for we are freed from fear, frustration, and futility. Life is raised from sin's death and becomes so rich that it cannot die, but must find in death only the transition to a higher life. Thank you for joining me this morning. God bless each and every one of you.